got it. Preparing for live stream. And I'll just, while I'm typing in the title and the name, then maybe I'll just say the opening prayers, like Om Agyanat Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Now let's see if I can type in, please join on the Zoom. Please join live on the Zoom. Let's see if I got it handy here. Yay. Okay, good. Maybe we can get a few others to come and join in. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All right. So where are we now?
Bhavatsarini Mataji's here.
Yay, Bhavatrini here. Vanchakalpaturubhis cha, Kripasindaviva cha, Pavanibhyo. Bhavatrini, Devidasi, Nirhari Prabhu. Bhavatrini, Devidasi Prabhu, Maharani, Nirhari Prabhu, Maharaj, Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. I want to make sure I got in the Prabhu for you, just in case you're one of those Matajis that like to be called Prabhu as well, Bhavatrini. I don't know you well enough yet to know whether you want a Prabhu with a capital P, or if you prefer Maharani or Devi. Kusha Devi Dasi said. What? Sorry? No, can't hear a word you're saying.
That's the Lord's.
You're out of range. She's out of range.
Capital.
Maybe you have the mic off.
Is the mic off?
At the
No,
bottom.
it's not. But
You're
it's
being
on the-
recorded right now all around the whole world. Everyone's listening to you. So I have a suggestion.
You can't hear me.
I have a suggestion. Yeah, your reception sounds really bad. Sounds like your head is in a cave or something.
We're driving.
No, actually, Nrihari comes out quite clear, but you sound far away, Bhavatrini. Yeah, you're
Maybe
driving.
You need to talk to the mic here.
Oh,
It's coming through the car speaker, the
Get
truck
it.
speaker.
I get it. I get it. I understand
Okay.
that. Yeah. So what I'm suggesting from now on, since I'm going through the songbook, and wow, what a beautiful view. That's Hawaii. As we're singing through each bhajan, because it's so disjointed when we all try to sing together, I thought it would be easier. Maybe for example, I could start with the first verse, and then like Krishna Chandra could sing the second verse, Bhavatrini, you could sing the third verse. I don't know if it's possible for Nrihari because I don't want him to have an accident trying to read this.
Yeah.
But at least for the three of us, we could take turns each, but we won't respond because it's too disjointed in the response. But
Yeah, you're right.
does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah.
Okay, good. I've got the song here, and it just happens to be tonight, one of your favorites, in honor of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one of the top 10 on the Goloka Vrindavan hit parade, and that is Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Toya Koro More. The official name is Puna Partana song, the Savarana Sri Gaura Pada Padme Prarthana. And that's of course written by Srila Narottam Das Thakur from his book Prarthana. Do either of you know what the actual meaning of the word Prarthana is before we start?
I don't know.
I forget that.
Prarthana. Okay, Maybe one of us could look it up later. Okay, so I'll just start here. I'll keep the register lower down so that it's not too high for anybody. See, and so me first, then Krishna Chandra, then Bhavatarini. And okay. So Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doyakoro More Toma Bina Kedayalu Jagat Sangsare
Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara Mosama Patita Prabhu Na Paibehara
Aha Prabhu Nityananda, Premananda Sukhi Kripa Kana Kore Tara Amit Kabaro Dukhi
Goya Koro Sita Pati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bole Pai Chaitanya Nitai
Gora Prema Maya Tanu Pandita Gadadhara Srinivasa Hari Dasa Doyara Sagara
Aha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha Atta Juga Shri Jiva Prabhu Lokana
Doya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Sangahamage Narotamodas Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare Rama 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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
My dear Lord Chaitanya, my dear Lord Chaitanya, please be merciful to me, because who can be more merciful than your Lordship within these three worlds?
Your incarnation is just to reclaim the conditioned fallen souls, but I assure you that you will not find a greater fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first.
My dear Lord Nityananda, you are always joyful in spiritual bliss. Since you always appear very happy, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance on me, then I may also become happy.
My dear Advaita Prabhu, husband of Sita, you are so kind. Please be merciful to me. If you are kind to me, naturally Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda will also be kind to me.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Gaura's love embodiment is shown by Gadadhar Pandit. Srinivas Pandit and Haridas Thakur are the ocean of mercy.
Bhavatarini.
over on the phone? Did that? Oh, so
Oh,
no,
Swarup.
I can't see the.
Okay, I'll read it. O Swarup Damodar, personal secretary of Lord Chaitanya. O six Goswamis. O Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. O Lokanath Goswami, my beloved spiritual master, Narottam Das always prays for your mercy.
O Srinivasacharya, successor to the six Goswamis, please be merciful to me. Narottam Das always desires the company of Ramachandra Chakravarti.
So yes, I noticed in this version, they've added another verse that you don't find in the Chutananda Prabhu's translations. And here it explains that verse 5 is found in the older books. Translation is Lord Chaitanya's love is embodied in Gadadhar Pandit, the ocean of mercy is embodied by Srinivasacharya and Srila Haridas Thakur. In Riksaraj Prabhu's 1978 tape, Reservoir of Pleasure, he sings,
Yeah, I remember that.
Doya Koro Gora Shakti Pandita Gadadhara Srinivasadi Bhakta Vrinda More Doya Kora, which means, please be merciful to me. Oh, energy of Lord Chaitanya, Pandit Gadadhar, O Srinivas Acharya, and the devotees in the disciplic succession, please be merciful to me. So shall we read the translation or purport, Prabhupada?
This
This is cut.
Maybe we can put you on mute because all of your
Okay,
conversation.
I'm sorry. Just a second.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Okay, this is 1969, January 11th in LA. And Prabhupada says, this is a song composed by Narottam Das Thakur. He prays to Lord Chaitanya, my dear Lord, please be merciful to me, because who can be more merciful than your lordship within these three worlds? Actually, this is a fact. Not only Narottam Das Thakur, but Rupa Goswami also prayed to Lord Chaitanya in this way. At the time of the first meeting of Lord Chaitanya and Rupa Goswami at Prayag, Allahabad, Srila Rupa Goswami said, my dear Lord, you are the magnificent of all incarnations because you are distributing love of Krishna, Krishna consciousness. When Krishna was personally present, he simply asked us to surrender, but he did not distribute himself so easily. He made conditions. First of all, you surrender. But this incarnation, Lord Chaitanya, although Krishna himself makes no such condition, he simply distributes, take love of Krishna. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is approved as the most munificent incarnation. Narottam Das Thakur says, please be merciful to me. You are so magnanimous because you have seen the fallen souls of this age and you are very much compassionate to them. But you should know that I am the most fallen. No one is more greatly fallen than me. Patita Pavan Hetu Tava Avatara, your incarnation is just to reclaim the conditioned fallen souls. But I assure you, you will not find a greater soul, fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. Welcome, dear God, brother Siddhanta Prabhu. My obeisances to you. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Would you like to continue, Siddhanta Prabhu? Then he prays to Lord Nityananda.
Okay. Why don't you raise it up a little bit? There you go. Then he prays to Lord Nityananda. He says, Haha Prabhu, Nityananda Premananda Sukhi. My dear Lord Nityananda, you are always joyful in spiritual bliss. Since you always appear very happy, I have come to you. Because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance over me, I may also become happy. Then he prays to Advaita Prabhu. Doya Koro Sita Pati Advaita Goshai. Advaita Prabhu's wife's name was Sita. Therefore, he is sometimes addressed as Sita Pati. Thus, Narottam Das Thakur prays, my dear Advaita Prabhu, husband of Sita, you are so kind. Please be kind to me. If you are kind to me, naturally Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda will also be kind to me. Actually, Advaita Prabhu invited Lord Chaitanya to come down. When Advaita Prabhu saw that the fallen souls were all engaged simply in sense gratificatory processes, not understanding Krishna consciousness, he felt very much compassionate toward the fallen souls, and he also felt himself incapable of claiming them all. He therefore prayed to Lord Krishna, please come yourself. Without your personal presence, it is not possible to deliver these fallen souls. Thus, by his invitation, Lord Chaitanya appeared. Naturally, Narottam Das Thakur prays to Advaita Prabhu. If you will be kind to me, naturally, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda also will be kind to me.
Krishna Chandra.
Jai. Then he prays to the Goswamis. Ha ha Svarup Sanatana, Rupa Raghunatha. Svarup refers to Svarup Damodar, the personal secretary of Lord Chaitanya. He was always with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and immediately arranged for whatever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted. Two personal attendants, Svarup Damodar and Govinda, were always constantly with Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur also prays to Svarup Damodar and then to the six Goswamis, the next disciples of Lord Chaitanya. Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Bhata Raghunath Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. These six Goswamis were directly instructed by Lord Chaitanya to spread this movement of Krishna consciousness. Narottam Das Thakur also prays for their mercy.
After the six Goswamis, the next Acharya was Srinivasa Acharya. Actually, Narottam Das Thakur was in the disciplic succession after Srinivasa Acharya and was almost his contemporary. And Narottam Das's personal friend was Ramachandra Chakravarti. Therefore, he prays, I always desire the company of Ramachandra. He desires a devotee's company. The whole process is that we should always pray for the mercy of the superior acharyas and keep company with pure devotees. Then it will be easier for us to advance in Krishna consciousness and receive the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. This is the sum and substance of this song sung by Narottam Das Thakur. And that's why I called all of you to please come and be with me, because I desire the company of the pure devotees and I need your mercy. So I'm trying to keep your company and I'm grateful that you've all come. I'm just wondering, I've always wondered who Ramachandra Chakravarti is, and I don't remember looking up his name. Nirhari or Bhavatrini or Siddhanta, do any of you know who Ramachandra, because I'm thinking he must be a pretty special soul if he's the personal friend of Ramachandra Chakravarti. Do you know Krishna Chandra?
I don't. I'm actually just looking it up now just to see.
Oh, good. Thank you for looking it up. Nirhari or Bhavatrini, do you know? Siddhanta, do you know?
No.
Okay, let's see if Krishna Chandra comes up with anything. All right, I'll stop that.
Is he the same as Ramachandra Kaviraj?
That I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe, but I don't know for sure. Welcome, Nandapatni, Hare Krishna, obeisances, Jai. Okay, so I've got the book ready here. Srila Prabhupada gives a class on these following Bhagavad Gita verses, chapter 1, verses 8 to 10. So I have that page ready to go. And I have the original verses in the Bhagavad Gita itself ready to go. So let's go and explore them. Now let me get back here to our page. And there we are. So Omagyana Timarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militamyena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Yeah, so why don't we each, I don't think there's really, okay, there's little purport, tiny little purports for these next three. So why don't we each read one. Siddhanta Prabhu, why don't we start with you? Would you like to read the verse and the Sanskrit in the verse, please?
I'm not a good Sanskrit reader. I'll just read the translation.
Can I do the Sanskrit on your behalf?
Yeah, you can do it.
Thanks. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kripascha Samitim Jaya Ashvatama Vikaranascha Somadatis Tataivacha. Okay, it's all yours.
There are personalities like yourself, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashvatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Duryodhana mentioned the exceptional heroes in the battle, all of whom are ever victorious. Vikarna is the brother of Duryodhana. Ashvatthama is the son of Dronacharya, and Somadati, or Bhurishrava, is the son of the king of the Balikas. Karna is the half-brother of Arjuna, as he was born of Kunti before her marriage with King Pandu. Kripacharya married the twin sister of Dronacharya.
Any thoughts from you, Siddhanta Prabhu, from Prabhupada's memories on that?
None.
Not yet? Okay.
No.
I'm just wondering, Bhavatarini, are you still kind of like shaky reception there? Will you be home soon as you're driving in your vehicle through the fields of Hawaii?
No, we just, yeah, we can read.
Oh, excuse me.
Where are we?
Text 9.
Text 9, okay.
You might have to speak a little louder so that the
Okay.
mic on the car will pick you up.
Anye cha bahava shura mad arte tiyakta jivata nana shastra praharanaha sarve yudha visharadaha. Synonyms. Anye, many others. Cha, also. Bahava, in great numbers. Suraha, heroes. Mad arte, for my sake. Tyakta jivataha, prepare to risk life. Nana, many. Shastra, weapons. Praharanaha, equipped with. Save, all of them. Yude, battle. Visharadaha, experienced in military science. Translation. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. Excuse me. Purport. As far as the others are concerned, like Jayadratha, Kritavarma, Salya, etc., all are determined to lay down their lives for Duryodhana's sake. In other words, it is already concluded that all of them will die in the battle of Kurukshetra for joining the party of sinful Duryodhana. Duryodhana was, of course, confident of his victory on account of the above-mentioned combined strength of his friends.
Any comments from you, Siddhanta Prabhu?
No.
Okay. Anything from you, Nirhari? Nandapatni?
No, it's. I just thought it. Nanda, you were going to say something.
Can't understand. It's a really bad reception from you. It's all garbled.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. No, I was just thinking how curious it is because yes, they're condemned in a way to die, and because of joining the party of the sinful Duryodhana. But it's curious that also the army, Krishna's army dies. His children, the children of the Pandavas die. Pretty much everybody dies in that battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
So some might say, well, the good side is is also they're all getting annihilated.
But they all saw Krishna, so they're all
They're
liberated.
liberated. Yeah.
Yes. So the demons are they go into Sita Loka at best. But the other ones, no. I was always curious, the Duryodhana, when Arjuna and Duryodhana went to see Lord Krishna, and Duryodhana, he just bullied himself to come to the head of Krishna. He thought as soon as he opened his eyes, then I'll ask him for benediction. And Arjuna took the humble position and went to the feet of the Lord. But when Krishna opened his eyes, first he saw his feet. So it's Arjuna who gets it. And but it gives the chance to them to pick what they want. And Duryodhana thought, oh, if I get that army, Krishna's army, wow, on top of having grandfather Bhishma, I'll be victorious. And so I was just wondering, I've never seen any commentary on what happened to that army. Did they go to Sita Loka, or they go to a higher?
I never read those details personally.
Because they are following the orders of Lord Krishna.
Right. Nandapati, would you like?
What a thing, eh?
Sorry, excuse me.
Okay.
Nandapati, would you like to read the next?
So text 10. Aparyatam tad ashmakam balam bhishma berakshitam paryaptam twidam etisham balam bhima berakshitam. Our great strength is immeasurable, and we're perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. Purport. Herein, an estimation of comparative strength is made by Duryodhana. He thinks that the strength of his armed forces is immeasurable, being specifically protected by the most experienced general, grandfather Bhishma. On the other hand, the forces of the Pandavas are limited, being protected by a less experienced general, Bhima, who is like a fig in the presence of Bhishma. Duryodhana was always envious of Bhima because he knew perfectly well that if he should die at all, he would only be killed by Bhima. But at the same time, he was confident of his victory on account of the presence of Bhishma, who was a far superior general. His conclusion that he would come out of the battle victorious was well ascertained.
I'm wondering, is the reason that Duryodhana was concerned about Bhima, that if he'd be killed by anybody, it would be by him, is it because of his offense to Draupadi that Bhima had vowed that he would kill Duryodhana? Was that the reason? Does anyone remember?
Well,
Why
that sounds like a good reason.
Right?
Yeah, that's a biggie. That would be number one. But yeah. But Bhima was always stronger than Duryodhana, even from childhood. Bhima would come, and if the goal climbed a tree, Bhima would just shake it and make Duryodhana fall off it.
That wasn't very nice.
Well, those are like warrior kids.
Okay. Like boys, my grandpa used to say, boys will be boys.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, this brings us now to Prabhupada's class, which he gave in London, July 12th, 1973.
Kripascha samitinjaya, kripascha samitinjaya, ashvatama vikarnascha, ashvatama vikarnascha, somadattis tataivacha, somadattis tataivacha.
Could you hear that?
Yeah.
Were you able to hear Pradyumna chanting or no?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that was Pradyumna, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It sounds like him.
Okay, so why don't we read 2 paragraphs each? I'll read translation in 2 paragraphs. So just reviewing these verses 8 to 10. Translation: our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhim, is limited. Prabhupada. So Duryodhana is very proud of his strength, military strength, because he was empowered, he could gather. And over and above that, Bhishma is the commander-in-chief. He is giving protection. And on the other side, the Pandavas, they are not empowered. Somehow or other, they gathered some soldiers from relatives. Therefore, their strength was limited in consideration of the other party. And that is being protected by Bhim. Duryodhana always considered Bhim as a fool. Therefore, he is very much confident that, quote, our side is being protected by Bhishma. And the other side, although Bhim is very strong, but he has no brain very much. So he was very hopeful of victory. But in the previous verse, he says, Anyecha bahava sura mad arte tyakta jivitaha. Tyaktva jivitaha means they have come to lay down their life for me. This is a foretelling because actually whoever joined the battlefield of Kurukshetra, none of them returned. Tyakta jivitaha. So it is already concluded that although Duryodhana is very much proud of his military strength, protected by Bhishma, still, Chakta Jivitaha, they would surely die. Any comments from anyone before Krishna Chandra continues? Nobody? Krishna Chandra?
Oh, nothing yet. Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't have this on the screen, do I?
Right. Otherwise, I would have read.
Oh, sorry. Someone should have told me. Excuse me. Hey, Divija Garanga's back. Obeisances to Divija Garanga. Yeah, okay. Divija Garanga, you're the only one that didn't read anything, I don't think. So why don't we start with you?
I didn't read anything.
Hari didn't read.
I'm sorry. but you spoke.
No.
Anyway.
You already said.
Okay.
I was just clarifying that I didn't.
Okay.
Just at the top of the page.
Duija, go ahead, please.
This is the conclusion from there.
Can hardly hear you. You sound far away from the mic.
I know it's going on. Better?
Yes, better. 2 paragraphs.
This is the conclusion. Nana Shastra Praharana Sarve Yudha Vishradha. No, not a single person inexperienced was there. Yudha Vishradha. Vishradha means very expert fighting. Still, they would have to lay down their life, because it is Krishna's plan that all these fighting men, they were not ruling properly according to the tenets of Vedic injunction. Therefore, they were demons. Military strength for self-aggrandizement is demonic. Military strength is required to rule over the kingdom, but not to misuse them for aggression to others' country or others' kingdom. That was not allowed. So when Krishna appeared, there were many kings. Although they were under the ruling of the Pandavas, still, Hastinapur, still they were fighting. That is natural. If one has no Krishna consciousness, then his strength and opulence would be misused. And if one is Krishna conscious, then he would use his strength and opulence very properly. So these kings were meant for giving protection to the citizens, to train them to Vedic conception of life, but they were not doing that. Therefore, they were demons.
Any reflections?
Heavy statement.
Which one?
Well, they're not using
Everyone-
their strength properly. They're demons.
Mhm.
Not there, but
But the people fighting for Krishna, they were all killed also. So Does that include them, the ones on both sides?
No, it speaks about the kings.
Oh.
They have armies, so they follow Krishna. So it's not that it's their fault. They're not exploiting anything.
A couple of reflections on that. If someone with potency for ruling is misusing it, they're so dangerous that even those who are using it properly can lose their lives to them. So it doesn't mean doesn't mean because there were those who weren't misusing it, they had to deal with those who were misusing it. So they're still dealing with some very potent people.
Mm-hmm.
So in the defense of truth, they gave their life.
We were reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We were reading the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam with Bhattacharya, and Arjuna just came back from Krishna has departed, and he's very despondent. His best friend has gone, and his strength is gone too.
Right.
Yeah.
So here it is, Arjuna, who was so powerful, and as the demigods being afraid of them. And now Lord Krishna is gone, so he withdrew all his power. So Prabhupada says that if there is any power, it's actually ultimately coming from Krishna. And in his pastimes, he will empower people to assist him in his play. And as soon as he's gone, all that is gone. So Arjuna is telling him, now I'm powerless. And remember how when Krishna entrusted Arjuna to safeguard the queens, take him, and he loses
He couldn't do it.
a bunch of what it looked like. He couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's actually Krishna disguised as dacoits that take them to conclude the pastime. And the other thing I was noticing that in this related to the Yadavas, how they kill each other, and that Krishna Balaram are fighting with the wreaths. They became iron rods, and all the dynasties perish to itself. And I think the commentaries Acharya said, like, as far as I remember, is that Krishna didn't want to leave them behind because they were so powerful that they would have ultimately become like demons. Like there'll be all this fighting over territory, fighting over controlling people and territory.
So does that mean that everyone in that battle was misusing their power because everyone was killed? That's my question.
No.
So I think it's like it's lila. So those who are following Krishna's orders and believe, is their conclusion. There's nothing better for a Kshatriya that die for a good cause, because they'll be elevated. But those who are fighting for a bad cause, well, that's the problem. But because they're dying in front of Lord Krishna, then they attain liberation. But I don't think they attain the same destination. Those who are following Krishna and those who are fighting against him.
Aren't there some stories in the Mahabharata where the Kauravas are there in the heavenly planets? It's mentioned how they go to the heavenly planets, and they're all kind of laughing how the Pandavas aren't there because, for whatever reason. But anyway, they're in heavenly planets, but they're thinking, yeah, well, this is pretty good. We did well.
I don't remember reading that passage, but I got from Gargamuni Prabhu the Ganguly Mahabharata. You ever seen it? It's like 4 volumes of 800 pages each.
Jivan Mukta has it at home. He read the whole thing.
Oh, fantastic. Wow. So he'll be the one. Too bad he's not here today, because
I'm calling him right now. As you are all speaking, I'm calling him.
Oh, yay.
We're parked on the Kona side, and there's all the trees. I don't know if you can see these bushes.
I told them you're special.
Those are what do you call it?
And these are called here, they're called kiave. And in Texas, it's called mesquite. And Jamuna writes that Prabhupada loved the chapatis being cooked, puffed onto mesquite coals.
There's the name for India too.
I'm lost. I'm lost right now. How we're going from discussing about the fighting and to mesquite chapatis. I'm sorry, I lost it.
Because we were in an interlude. You said, "Wait, I'm going to dial for Jivan."
Oh, I see.
So
No.
unless I'm
Excuse me. I'm sorry I said that.
just
All right. Yeah. So one of the thoughts that came to me about reading this section was that since it says that all the kings were under the Pandavas, that means if you're under the Pandavas, that means that the Pandavas were actually the emperor, because kings are always under an emperor, right? That's one thought I had. And another thought I had is it's Prabhupada is saying here that kings are meant for giving protection to the citizens and training them in the Vedic conception of life. But since they weren't doing that, they were demons. So then I remember that quote by Prabhupada saying, I have never voted. He said, because these people are all asses. And anyone, whether you vote for this ass or that ass, if you vote for an ass, you're an ass yourself. So when I see the devotees going after each other about Trump or Biden, I'm thinking, what's the point? Prabhupada said they're all asses.
I know. I got chewed up. And I said, they look like, it's just the two sides of the same coin. And I call them trumpeters, and so there were 3 devotees there. And said, one devotee in particular, and I remember in Vrindavan, said, I don't, these people they're not closing the slaughterhouses. They're not,
right,
chanting the name. They're not propagating the name. They're not making the population Krishna conscious. Oh, wow. And they say, well, you are then the problem, Prabhu.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to mention the T name, because Ashram Maharaj, he has this filter on his phone that doesn't even allow the T name to come on his phone. I'm not singling out, some people it's the B name, other people it's the T name. I'm sorry, I didn't want to get into even discussing these people, but
no, we agree with you.
We agreeing with you. I'm just saying
both are the same.
Yeah,
they're both asses.
Siddhanta Prabhu, would you like to continue? Although they were Kshatriyas still.
Okay. I will add my little 2 cents in that before I read.
Oh yeah, please do. Jai.
The point here is also, I believe, that Prabhupada is talking about politics. That a lot of devotees say, well, we're just spiritualists. We don't talk about politics.
Right.
But that's avoiding the situation in the material world. There are politics involved.
Yeah.
Prabhupada wanted a mayor to be elected to office. There was a purpose behind it. So there are, benefits for engaging in political affairs, as you say, if one is Krishna conscious and has policies that are beneficial to human society.
Yes.
And there are those things that can be promoted that are beneficial. If it's one thing, if it's not all things, but there are certain things that can be, my feeling is that can be instituted that progress along the way. When Prabhupada came to America, there was hardly any vegetarian restaurants.
Right.
And I propose that because of Prabhupada's influence, vegetarianism, which leads to ahimsa, nonviolence, not killing the cows that Prabhupada wanted, these are things that are beneficial to human society. So you can say they're all the same, but I don't agree.
Okay.
I think there's lesser of two evils.
Okay.
So I'm the guy.
Yeah,
I will vote. So I mean, if you can lump them all in, they're all friggin' asses. So I don't care to vote for anybody. But I'm on the other side of that coin.
Well, but Prabhupada said we're not against the meat eaters, neither for them. Yeah. And then when they said, Prabhupada, why don't we support the vegetarian society? Prabhupada said, well, pigeons are vegetarian too. So he didn't give very much value to somebody becoming a vegetarian. He said, if they're not offering their food. That's one little story.
But the majority of the stories that Prabhupada tells is Prabhupada came to the West and he said, isn't there any other kind of meat you can eat beside the cow?
Right. That was actually,
there's more evidence for Prabhupada propagating, not killing the cow. The cow is Krishna's dearest friend or animal, you know.
Right.
How can you say that? Oh, Prabhupada said, we don't care about if you're not, but I think that's the wrong.
That was the
but
conversation.
you're misunderstanding.
Well, I'm hearing what you're saying,
and
whether I'm misunderstanding or not, but you're not
I'm
saying
surprised.
it.
No,
You're saying
I'm
it's all
surprised
one.
because
It's not
maybe
all
you should
one.
find it. You should find the letter. You should find the letter. But Prabhupada said in many instances, of course, it's the cow that we want to defend. But now you have people who go to the other extreme where they're showing movies of cows being slaughtered at the temple, probably flipping out.
Yeah,
He wigged out at the BTG, putting the image.
I didn't acknowledge
remember that image?
I didn't justify that.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's a
love
separate
your.
point.
So I'm just saying, yeah, I mean, we can compromise. There be the lesser of two evils and like that. That's fine. But what Prabhupada said, no, we're Prashadarians, and of course, he said if civilized society will protect the cow. There's no question about that.
Okay, in the
But
nectar
you know,
of
when
devotion,
I study both,
In the nectar of devotion, what?
it's stated that one who's a Pushugna, one who eats meat, cannot understand spiritual information.
Right.
There's a Shastra that right there. Okay, well, there's a reason for propagating not eating meat.
Right.
Because you want to help other people raise their level of consciousness. You cannot understand spiritual concepts if you're a Pushugna.
right? So I'm not against that. That's what Prabhupada said. We're not against meat eaters. And like you said, I mean, he also said, well, they can eat lesser animals, don't eat. And then also said the cows don't live too long, let them die of a natural death, and then they can utilize the meat. To this day in India, you have a group of people that go and they'll purchase your dead cow, and leather could be taken. You know, we use mritangas, they're made with leather, and the shoes in the battlefield Kurukshetra were leather, and like that. So there is a proper Vedic use for everything.
I've said
Sure,
I've said that to some
who's
Western
denying? I don't
folks.
deny that. Who's denying
I've said that to some
Yeah.
Western
So
folks. Wait till a cow dies and eat it. Then they go, "Ooh, that's gross."
Yeah.
Maybe.
But the other
But
part
I
of this
understand both points.
Okay, the other side of this political
I'd like
fight.
to say I understand.
Nirhari and Bhavatrini, are you
Yes.
driving in a vehicle? Because all we see is a green roof when
No.
you speak.
Oh, we're parked.
We're
I see.
part to either
Okay.
see the roof or the back of a truck.
All right. So let's let Siddhanta.
So,
I have my glasses.
Siddhanta Prabhu, can you please
Yeah.
finish making your point?
Well, the other part of Prabhupada's philosophy about wars that I heard from Ravindra Swarup, who I just recently interviewed, was that Prabhupada said when you have a war and it's one demonic side for fighting another demonic side, then it doesn't matter who wins, because the end result is that you have a demon ruling, no
Right.
matter who's fighting in the war. But if you have demons fighting devotees, then he said that is Krishna conscious.
Uh-huh.
That is Krishna consciousness. So to say that we don't fight, no, we do fight. We fight for Krishna and his principles and his teachings. That's Krishna consciousness. So to say
I
that we're
didn't say
pacifists,
that we don't fight,
I'm just adding another point. I'm not arguing.
but I never
with you.
said that we were pacifists. Yeah.
I never said you were. I'm making a point about this
But you said
paragraph we
that
just read.
you said that the best of two evils.
No, the lesser. of
You
two
mentioned
evils.
about Trump and Biden.
Yeah.
I would like to make a comment on that, Siddhanta. I get your point and I respect your point. I just think the danger of saying, well, okay, of the two, but if you look at Trump and we say something in favor of him, or if you say something in favor of Biden, then you're always going to have someone else saying, yeah, but Trump is really like this or Biden's really like that. And there's kind of like no end to that kind of conversation. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not trying to battle with you, this guy versus that guy.
Right.
I'm just telling you the truth for me.
Sure.
I'm just bearing my soul to you
Yeah.
and saying I'm not a pure devotee and I have some political leanings. I'm not telling you what they are, but I'm saying in my belief that there is lesser of two evils. And Prabhupada also confirmed that by saying that you can have a war and it's a legitimate war if you have devotees fighting for devotional spiritual principles
Uh-huh.
versus demons.
Right.
That is a stated
Right.
fact, as told by Ravindra Swarup.
When I hear that,
directly from Prabhupada.
Right, I get it. I'm just wondering, in your view, do you think that means that devotees should actually be trained to know how to use armed weapons?
I don't know. That's another topic. If somebody has a Kshatriya nature, then why not?
Right.
You haven't become part of the army. Marines.
Balavanta actually ran for office. Did you interview
Yes.
him?
Yeah.
In God we
Yes,
trust.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I interviewed him.
That was fascinating.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean,
It
we
was.
have devoted, we have Kshatriyas within the movement. You know, Karandar was a Kshatriya. Guru Kripa is a Kshatriya.
Hangsarupa.
SAS.
So
Most of us.
they've defended devotees, you know, many instances, and it's all glorious.
Most of us in the
Or
West have
Kesava,
a good chunk of it.
Or
I grew up with guns. I'm proficient in gun use. I don't shoot people, but
Oh, I never know it.
or animals.
You're so mild-mannered, Vijay. I never knew you were good with guns. It's another side.
Can I
of your
make another point here in
Yeah.
the about the text we're reading? It reminds me, I think it's in the first canto where Prabhupada, well, number one, he says that all our leaders are actually Sudras, you know, so obviously they're not Brahmins. And that the other thing is that they tax the citizens very, very heavily so that they can build these big military powers. I thought that was an interesting point because, you know, on a practical basis, we actually see that ourselves, that our tax, when we pay taxes, is actually, you know, in a lot of countries, it's going to build these whopping great militaries, which are, you know, building up nuclear weapons, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, the military complex has definitely got the hugest portion of our pie of where our taxes go to. So,
yeah. And the
coming
other
from Prabhupada Moses.
the Dharmic king or the Dharmic leader does not do that. He doesn't rob the citizens for this kind of war games as such.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's why.
Anyway,
I want to also suggest that it's a good thing, and I have evidence from devotees distributing books to politicians. You know, what a great man does, calm men will follow. So you put these kind of thoughts and these Prabhupada's literature in their hands, hopefully it will seep in and it will take some effect.
Yeah,
look at Narendra Modi this week.
Yeah,
I just want to mention quickly Narendra Modi this week speaking, you know, amazingly about Prabhupada and ISKCON. And then in England, Boris Johnson came to the manor and, you know, actually garlanded Srila Prabhupada's murti on the Vyasasana. I mean, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it reminds me of a story that Praghosh told me on Sankirtan when he met, you know, he meets a lot of soldiers he met a lot of them at the airport, Marines, Army, Navy, all the services. And he was describing to one soldier who came through Chicago O'Hare Airport or Hawaii, one of the airports, and described the Gita. He was presenting and distributing a Gita to this person. And he said, this book is about the greatest military man who ever lived, Arjuna. And it piqued his interest. He sold him the book on that. And then Praghosh went to Prabhupada and told him how he described his preaching that day and distributing the book to the military guy. And Prabhupada thought for a moment, he said, yes, you are right. That is a perfect answer. That Arjuna was and is the best military man on the planet. So you have done rightly. Prabhupada told Praghosh.
Oh, nice.
And I like Balavanta's interview that you have, and I saw the written. There were several occasions, but there's one letter, and he said, "Will you run in for mayor? And don't get too caught up in all these complicated issues. First of all, tell people you come in to remind them of how to be happy by chanting the holy name. And then if you had to speak about an issue, tell him about inflation. Tell him that printed money, it causes inflation." That was interesting, I thought. but yeah, I mean, you said, you know, how to establish Varnashram. The natural tendencies are there. So I've seen the Pandavas and the Kauravas were trained together. They had Duryodhana. Dronacharya was the common teacher, wasn't he? Even father, you know, grandfather Bhishma, like that. But how they utilize that, because I think that we were just reading about that the armies will be there, the forces have to be trained, the forces have to be equipped, and like that. But they had to then be utilized for protection rather than exploitation. And
It's mentioned right
sorry,
there in that
Siddhanta, I saw
passage.
that.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, you know, and said what I said that, you know, two sides of the same coin. It's just, yeah, there are, you know, maybe a lesser evil in one person, and I will mention, you know, like the T model was, you know, what he proposed. It made a lot more sense than the B model, but ultimately, as T ruled, I was following that. He continued to open slaughterhouses. And then I read an article where Prabhupada says these politicians are to plunder the treasury house and open slaughterhouses. So that's what, you know, I said, well, Prabhupada, ultimately, we voted for this person or that person, but if they still, they're not propounding the Vedic upliftment of, you know, through devotional service or, you know, Vedic consciousness, Krishna consciousness to the population at large, in small steps perhaps, but if they're not, then, you know, I don't want to give him my vote. But that's my personal thing. And Nanda, yeah, I've been following Narendra Modi, and it's been.
We met him before.
We met
he
him,
was
yes.
Prime Minister. He's been a ISKCON Life member for many years.
We met the doctor that worked is a biologist that worked for Amul company, and he came out with others. He invented the nano colostrum that actually goes through the brain barrier, and is a fantastic preventive for viruses, and, you know, it ups the immune system. So there was a conference that was called Vibrant Gujarat in 2011, and organized by, at that time, the chief minister of Gujarat, that was Narendra Modi. And so this doctor, Purushottam, he called us, actually invited Bhavatarina and I, because he wanted to get into the health food industry, and I have my contacts here in America, and so he wanted to do some kind of partnership. And so anyhow, he invited us. We saw Amul company is fantastic, but so we got a chance to. He put us with the VIPs, and there were the delegations of congresswomen from America, and we met at the airport. Then they came over and said, "Who are you guys?" And at that time, I had my shaved head. I was with a suit and tie, and Latrine were well dressed, and so we said, "We're not really not much," but yeah, we got a chance to at lunch where there was a break to eat. We were introduced to Narendra Modi and also to Tata, and there were so many people that approached him, but he saw me and he came straight at me and he said, "Hare Krishna." So yeah, in those levels, it's pretty interesting what's been going on. I don't know how much power Narendra Modi has, you know, such a huge country and so many influences, because India is, I can remember, but I'm on the group here. I think it was Achyutananda Prabhu mentioned that India is the second biggest exporter or third biggest exporter of meat and leather goods. They come from slaughter of cows, of beef. So, but it's groups like the Prime Minister of UP now. He's Yogi is his last name, and he now forbade the selling of meat or liquor within UP and Mathura, actually. Anyhow.
We have 25 minutes left. I have 3 quick comments I'd like to make, please. And I want to try to finish this section before 25 minutes is up, if it's possible, because it's more difficult to find it next time if it's in the middle of some paragraph, it's harder to remember. Okay. What I wanted to say was someone mentioned about printing money, how it causes inflation. So I just got an interesting mem from Yuga Avatar today, a devotee in New Zealand. And he told me that the prime minister mentioned that within 6 months, they're getting rid of all currency in the name of, because it's going to spread COVID more by handling money, and it's all going to be digital. So I was thinking kind of a red flag went up for me. I thought, I wonder how long before in America and Canada, they get rid of dollar bills and everything starts going digital, which means, of course, if anyone's making money under the table, they're not going to be able to do that anymore because everything's going to get taxed. That was just one quick comment.
You remember in the introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada resolves that by saying everything should go back to gold standard.
Right. But the thing is, you can't deal with gold. If you want to go and buy something you're not going to bring your gold bar with you, right? That comes a little bit, probably a little.
No, they make coins. They make little coins. I bought coins.
Okay,
yeah,
I don't know anybody that can make coins. If I had enough money to buy a gold bar, anyway.
I just repeating what I read. I'm not going to get into this. I mean, there's a lot of whether it's going to be a digital coin or not, but it's what's backing that assigned value to that particular piece. It might be a piece of plastic, or it might be a virtual monetary instrument.
This devotee is starting.
Prabhupada says.
Sorry, excuse me. This devotee.
Never mind.
This devotee wants to start a bhakti pound. That's what he wants to do. He wants to create a currency for the devotees. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. Regarding the In God We Trust party, that was Rupanuga, Balavanta, and who else was that? Siddhanta Prabhu? Ambarish, was it?
No.
Balavanta, Rupanuga, and someone else, I think.
Maybe Amarendra.
Amarendra, that's right. Yeah. And at one point, I think their forum, I think, was the 4 regulator principles. They were like, that was what he was standing on that trying to encourage humanity to follow those. And but in the end, Prabhupada said, we're meant to be the Brahmins, and we're meant to be training the Kshatriyas, not that we're meant to become the Kshatriyas ourselves. That's just one comment I remember from Prabhupada. I think it was getting costly for them to do that whole.
But Srila Prabhupada didn't want them not to be in politics. They just weren't successful. It's still there that devotees can be helpful if they are in politics. And actually Balavanta decided he wanted to try doing politics when he and I went and preached to my cousin who was the mayor of Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
And so then that's when he started, and then he took some advice from my cousin, and he started working with Prabhupada. So it'd be very good if the politicians were devotees.
Of course.
Then of course we'd be involved. And it's still hopeful that devotees can take positions, or that the book distribution can change the hearts and minds of those who are already politicians.
Right. And my last comment was regarding what Siddhanta Prabhu said earlier about can't they eat any other kind of meat? And I remember that from the Yogeshwar, when Yogeshwar was on the floor next to Prabhupada, and Cardinal Danilou in Paris was speaking.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Pour les enfants, for the children.
La nourriture.
La nourriture pour les pauvres, the food for the poor. And Prabhupada was saying, yeah, but no, not the cow. And no, pour les enfants, for the children. And then Prabhupada turns to Yogeshwar and he says, can't they eat any other kind of meat?
Yeah, well, he was so, deriding in a way, Prabhupada, India, that, you have all those cows there and that you had children starving to death.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if we can get back to reading again. Whose turn is it now?
Yes, please. Okay. Hurry, hurry.
It's
Hurry, hurry.
he can actually do that while he drives the car?
I think I took already
You were
took.
not driving.
We're parked. We're
We're
parked.
parked for
Oh, you're
class.
parked now. Okay. Let's see if I can find that page. Where is it exactly? Trying to make this small so I can get to, I guess I have to, okay. Just trying to find the page here. Please bear with me. Okay, good. Found it.
Got it.
Okay, Nirhari. Although they were Kshatriyas
It
still.
starts at although. Yeah. Excuse me. Although they were Kshatriyas still, Kshatriyas are meant for representing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, Krishna is the proprietor. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhidam Sarva Bhutanam. Yadva Man Shantim Richati. Bhagavad Gita 5:29. So he is the proprietor. Sarva Loka. Sarva Loka means all the planets, all the universes, because they are created by Krishna's bodily effulgence, Brahma Jyotir. So they are created by Krishna's. Just like from sunshine, these planets are created. Similarly, from Brahma Jyotir, innumerable universes are created. Yasya prava pravavato jagadanda koti koti shashesha vasudhadi vibhuti vinam tad brahma nishkalam anantam mashesha bhutam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Ramachandra 5:40. So I'll continue reading, or
Just finish that little section.
okay. So it is all creation of Krishna. Aham sarvasya pravabo mata sarva pravartate. Bhagavad Gita 10:8. Everything has come out from Krishna's body, eternal, external. Therefore, he is the proprietor. If we have created something, then I am. If I have created something, then I am the proprietor. It is very easy to understand. In the Vedas also it is said, Eko Narayana Asit. Therefore the creation only, before the creation, only there was Narayan, unquote. In the Chatushloki Bhagavad, also it is said, Aham evasam evagre. Srimad Bhagavatam 2:9, 33, 34, 35, and 36.
Bhavatrini, would you like to continue?
I read already. Is there someone that hasn't read?
Not that I know of.
Vijay Karanga, did he read? Oh, yeah.
Vijay is not here, but yeah, he read.
Nanda Patni, did you read?
Yeah.
No,
Okay, Krishna Chandra, back to you.
Where do I start? So before creation?
Mm-hmm.
So before creation, there was Krishna.
Okay. So before creation, there was Krishna. When we speak of Krishna, it does not mean Krishna was alone. Krishna means with his form, with his pastime, with his paraphernalia, with his entourage, everything. When we speak of king, it does not mean king is alone. As soon as we speak of king, we must understand the king, king's kingdom, king's secretaries, king's ministers, king's queen, king's palace, so many things. Similarly, when the Vedas says that Eko Narayana Asit, before creation there was only Narayan, so Narayan with his paraphernalia, with his expansion. Narayan has expansion in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha Jagat, innumerable Vaikuntha planets. You have seen the picture, innumerable. We have given only 24 names, but there are innumerable.
Who did that original painting on the front cover of the Bhagavatam? Does anyone know? That's what's being described here. Pardon? No one knows?
Don't know.
Who did on which Bhagavatam? The one from India or the one here?
The original Bhagavatam with all the planets. What's being described here? The blue covers.
Oh, the ones done by ISKCON. Well, Jadharani did a lot of that, but they had a team. In
There was several devotees that
yeah.
worked on that one painting.
Oh, actually, I don't know. That would be pretty early because when I joined in January of '71,
Okay.
they already had the first of them.
The blue one. With
The blue one,
cover.
yeah.
Is this
Okay.
the one you're referring to? The one I'm holding up?
Yes, that one.
Okay. Jai.
Okay, nobody knows. Fine. So actually, either in this material world or in the spiritual world, all planets, Vaikuntha planets or Kuntha planets. Here in this material world, Kuntha planets. Kuntha means anxiety. Here, in any planet you go, the anxiety will be there. This is material. Sada, samudvigna, diyam, asadgrahat, 755. Why anxiety? Because we have accepted something asat, which will not stay, but we are eternal. We want to stay. Our natural position is eternity. So we don't want this temporary body. Therefore, we try to save the body as much as possible, but it will not be saved because we have accepted something nonsense, which is not compatible with our existence. The modern civilization, they do not know it. They think that death is natural sequence. It cannot be avoided. No. It can be avoided. It can be avoided. But these rascals, they do not know how to avoid it. Although it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, how you can avoid death, birth, death, old age, and disease. These are the problems, but they do not know how to solve these problems. They are simply engaged in some temporary business. Siddhanta Prabhu.
Let's see. And they are fighting, is that the one?
Yeah.
And they are fighting, they are making plans, they are making diplomacy, but in the real problem, they do not touch, neither they know how to solve it. But this Krishna consciousness movement can solve it. These rascals may understand this fact that this Krishna consciousness movement is not a sentiment, so-called religious movement. It is a scientific movement to solve all the problems of life. This is Krishna consciousness.
Please read the next one.
Somebody else read that. I'm looking for a story that relates to the picture of the Bhagavatam.
Okay, Dvija or Nandapatni. Nandapatni.
Okay, so in the Bhagavad Gita it said, Tvatvadeham puna janma naiti mam, Bhagavad Gita 4:9. Puna janma naiti. If you can avoid next birth, the next birth means to accept another material body. Tatadehantara praptiya, tatadehantara prapti. Sorry, 2:13. After giving up this body, we have to accept another body. These rascals, they do not understand it. So many defects in the modern civilization, full of ignorance, and still they're passing as a great scientist, great philosopher, great politicians. Real knowledge they haven't got. So try to give them knowledge. Tatadehantara prapti. This is the crucial point. Dehantara prapti. One has to accept another body. So if you can find out the means so that you do not accept another body, then you're safe. Because as soon as you accept another body, janma, birth, then where there is janma, there is mrityu, death also. And between janma and mrityu, birth and death, there is disease and old age. So Krishna says that Tvaktva deham punma janma naiti, 4:9. One can avoid accepting another material body. How? Question mark. Janma karma chame divyam yo janati tattvataha. Simply try to understand Krishna. What is Krishna? Why Krishna appears? Why Krishna takes part in politics? Why Krishna? So many Krishna activities.
Nice. Siddhanta, did you find what you were looking for?
No, but I'm getting there. Are you ready to end it?
You keep looking, Vijay can take over.
So this is our Krishna consciousness movement means try to understand Krishna. Simply, if you try to understand. You cannot understand Krishna fully. That is not possible. Krishna is unlimited. But to our limited knowledge, whatever is possible, that is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. As far as we can understand about Krishna, we simply understand Krishna, his transcendental nature, his transcendental activities, divyam, janma karma me divyam, Bhagavad Gita 4:9. Divyam means transcendental. It is not ordinary. Tatpata, in truth, in fact. Then you become free from this janma mrityu jara vyadi, Bhagavad Gita 13:9. Very easy thing. Therefore, try to understand Krishna. How you will understand Krishna? Krishna is so great. Sevan mokhi hi jivada swayam eva sratyada. Ata Shri Krishna namadi na bhavid grayam indriyai. Chaitanya Charitamrita Majid 17:136. You cannot understand Krishna by these blunt material senses. That is not possible. You have to purify it. You have to purify it. Tat part vena nirmalam. Madhya Lila 19:170. Simply by Krishna consciousness, always thinking of Krishna, all your senses will be purified. This is the process. Sevanmukhi hi jivadao. And you can begin service with your tongue.
Oh, Siddhanta found it.
Did you find? Yeah.
I found a story. Can Krishna Chandra, can you hold that cover up again? Make sure this is the same one that this story refers to. Okay,
Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that's it. Okay, here's a little funny story related
Okay.
to this picture. This is from Umapati Swami. Early days, okay? Hayagriva and I were looking at the dust cover of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Prabhupada had brought from India. It's a painting of the material and spiritual world with a big lotus and many bubbles. There was one bubble we both liked. We said, this is nice. Wow, far out. That's where I want to go. That really looks great. Hayagriva was on his way to the temple and I had something else to do. So I said, ask the Swami what that bubble is. That afternoon I said, did you ask the Swami what that bubble is? Hayagriva said, yeah. He said it's the material world.
Yeah, we're all
So funny.
still many of us are still attracted to that bubble. I know I sure am. I gotta break the bubble.
Oh, Prabhupada popped up bubble.
Yes.
That's a good one.
I was trying to formulate that, but you've got a sharper brain. Okay. We're reaching, I think we're reaching the end here. So we finished the Vijas. So now I guess it's Krishna Chandra here.
Trini didn't get to read
I'd
it.
like to read. I
Okay.
said, oh, is someone else
Please
that
do.
hasn't read?
Okay, yes, please. I forgot.
I
Sorry.
didn't want to read.
Sorry, ma'am. Now this is also very surprising.
Okay.
Please continue.
Okay. So little. Now, this is also very surprising. By utilizing our tongue, we can become perfect. I lost it.
This is also unknown to the modern science.
Yeah, here it is. It got covered over.
So utilizing the tongue, one can
Yes.
become perfect.
Yes. I can't read it. Never mind.
This is the
So
process.
small. I
You
know. I
open it
couldn't
up.
read it. I couldn't open it up.
And you read it now.
I don't know.
Okay, try it.
Okay.
If you-
It's so
this-
little, and the pictures.
open it up.
Shall we continue without you?
So utilizing the tongue. Oh, yes. No, yes, this is the process. If by the tongue you can chant Hare Krishna mantra, and by the tongue you taste prasadam, you will be perfect. Simply by executing these two things. Do not accept anything. Do not allow the tongue to touch anything which is not offered to Krishna. This is one item. And another item, engage the tongue always chanting Hare Krishna. You become perfect. Is it very difficult task? Anyone can do. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, anyone can chant. And nice prasadam, anyone can take. And actually it is happening. So how these European American boys and girls, they are advancing, they are realizing simply by the process, tongue, chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam. So you can introduce this process all over the world. Give them chance to chant Hare Krishna mantra, but it is difficult also. There was a cartoon, that one, Hamsa Duda. Hayagriva? Prabhupada, no, that one, old lady is requesting her husband, chant, 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 and the husband is replying, can't, laughter. There was a cartoon. So we are requesting everyone, please chant. And they are replying, can't. Still, they will not chant. This is the difficulty. Otherwise, we can deliver all the people on this earth back to home, back to Godhead, simply by this process. Chant and take prasadam. This should be just like the other day we held the festival, Rath Yatra. Chant and take prasadam, that's all. Organize this all over the world. They will be saved. They will understand Krishna. Sevan Mukehi Jivan Dao Swayam. BRS 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Krishna will appear. Krishna, you cannot see Krishna. That is not possible. You cannot order Krishna. Please come, I will see you. No. When he is pleased with your service, he will come. Yes, I am here, see me. That is the history. Just like Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj was meditating, and within 6 months, he saw Krishna face to face. So everyone can see. Everyone will be able, provided we utilize the tongue. Sevan Mukhi He Jiva Dao. Jiva Dao. Jiva Dao means beginning with the tongue. We've got senses, all senses, eyes, ears, touch, so many senses. But begin with the sense tongue. Try to control the tongue and engage in Krishna's service.
Jai, Jivan Mukta Prabhu is here. Hare Krishna. We're at the end of the night. Please do some reading. Jivan Mukta, are you able to do that, or are you having dinner, or what's up?
No, I could do it. I'm just kind of trying to juggle things here. I definitely need some association, that's for sure.
So please read, therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Just read a big chunk.
Okay, therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Sharira Vidyajal Jyotendriya Taikal Prasad Seva. Yeah, number 1. This body is material body, and the senses are our greatest enemies. Jyotendriya Tahika. So out of all the senses, Tara Madhya Jiva Ati Lobamoy Sudurmati. Of all the senses, the tongue is formidable. It is Sudurmati. It has no limit to taste. I have seen in Japan, 20 miles away, they are coming to taste some fried birds in the hotel. You see, they have got bus. The hotel has got their own bus, and they bring customers from the city, and they are coming after office hours just to taste some jungle birds fried. There is a hotel. Devotee, wild duck, Prabhupada, maybe, whatever it may be. You have tasted laughter.
Busted.
So this tongue is so formidable enemies. Simply for tasting, they will commit so many sinful activities. They will commit so many abominable actions simply for tongue. And that is a straight line. Tongue, then belly, then genital. So if you can control the tongue, the other things will be controlled. Therefore, Tara Madhya Jiva Ati Lobamoy Sudurmati. Lobamoy. It is very greedy. And Sudurmati, it is very difficult to control. Just see, simply for tongue, so many slaughterhouses are being maintained. I have seen those who are meat eaters. I have seen in the airplane a small piece of meat they are eating, not very much. But for these small pieces, so many population, huge quantity of slaughterhouses being maintained.
Mm.
They cannot give up that small piece of meat. What is the difficulty? They can make the same thing can be made by milk product, chana. What do you call curd?
Why don't you just finish this section?
Okay.
Mm.
Cheese, devotee says. Prabhupada, cheese. You prepare cheese and fry it. You'll get the same taste. But let the animal live. Take its milk and prepare so many milk preparations. But these rascals will not do. You kill simply for this tongue. It is so strong, this tongue. They cannot give up this, I mean to say, formidable tongue. He is demanding, you must give me meat. So they are obliged, and for this obligation, they are committing so much sinful activities, abominable activities, and becoming bound up by the laws of nature to accept a body within the 8,400,000 species of life, and becoming the worm in the stool. They do not know how the material law is working. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Bhagavad Gita 3:27. Prakriti, nature, is so strong. It is acting very nicely. So we have to become very careful. That carefulness you cannot do any other way, especially in this age. Simply if you surrender to Krishna, if you become Krishna conscious, Krishna will take care of you and you will be saved. Thank you very much.
All right, Prabhupada.
Is there
Thank you.
Is there
Prabhupada.
something that stood out for you during that section, Jiva?
Krishna, please take care of me. That's my prayer. My prayer is that Krishna, please take care of me.
Oh,
Uh,
if it cheers you up, Jivan Mukta, I read a beautiful description by Prabhupada of your name, Jivan Mukta, today
mm,
in the first canto, 3rd chapter, verse 33. So just to let you know that.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Let's say.
It's a wonderful name. You know,
What did it say?
Yeah.
Well,
What did you read? What did you read?
Prabhupada is describing the self, the real self, and how the real self becomes liberated in Krishna consciousness. So it's about being able to identify what the self actually is, namely the soul.
One of the thoughts that came out for me reading that section was where Prabhupada was saying, if you just fry some cheese and ghee, it is the same taste, more or less. And I was thinking of how Kurma Prabhu talks about how he learned from our godbrother Deepak in Australia. Prabhupada gave Deepak a recipe that Prabhupada called Meat Eater's Delight.
Yeah, so I was read that.
And
Yeah.
it was a curd sautéed in ghee, and the other ingredients I remember is ginger, hing, chunks of potato, and chunks of eggplant. So all of that together was supposed to give sort of like a chewy, like sort of meaty texture. I don't know if there was, I can't remember the other ingredients. I think
Oh,
that was
he really browned.
huh?
He darkened the curd became brown, almost dark brown.
Oh, really? Okay.
In the description, I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but yeah, and when people said, "Oh, this steak's so juicy," that juice, and of course got blood, but in it is ghee. The animal fat, the fat of
Right.
the cow is ghee.
Mhm.
So yeah, you
Hey, we're
can.
waiting. Yes.
In Laguna,
Sorry.
I was a chef.
Yeah.
I was a chef, one of the chefs in Laguna Beach, in the first Govinda's restaurant in the world. And Tamal Krishna, many Maharaj, many devotees used to come, and we follow. I had to do the specials. Some of them, 3 times a week, and it will be Chinese or Mexican or Italian, and there was a vegetarian Mexican a book, a really good one, and pretty much, I mean, like, protein is protein. I mean, really, the flavor on the spices, they were all the same. So it's that Prabhupada said it's just so bad. I mean, for that little piece of meat, so many slaughterhouses are open.
Yeah.
And we can have the curd. We can, you know, there's so much milk production. Sometimes they dump it.
Siddhanta, was there another quote?
Yeah,
you
and here we.
Sorry, excuse me.
We have to leave.
Siddhanta, was there another quote?
It's time to go.
Because I saw it, you said, I found it. Was that the quote you already read to us, or was there something else?
No, that was the Umalapati story.
Okay. Is there anything from anyone else, this last section that Jivan Mukta just read about satisfying the tongue?
Hasn't anybody had that experience? Like, having been introduced to Prasadam, I remember sometimes suddenly it took me back to like a Christmas dinner that I grew up with. It's like, wow, it was the same taste, like turkey stuffing or something. I mean, you know, devotees say, oh, that's gross. But actually I realized that the flavor is independent of the substance that you're eating necessarily. It can portray, like Prabhupada said, it's the same taste. But I mean, often if you talk straight up and say, well, does it taste like chicken? But it's really the taste, and the idea of identifying it from our conditioning is, well, that's got to be chicken. But when you get a taste that's just like that, it's like, wow, yeah, taste is coming from Krishna. So
my feeling is also that you know, in Krishna consciousness, the whole idea is to get a higher taste.
Mm-hmm.
And we are, and the higher taste, you know, we could see it even from a material standpoint, right? Like grandma's food is always the best
because of the love.
Because of the love, right? Like with my family, it's like Nona's food is like, you know, her tomato sauce is like, how does she do it? Like, and everyone tries to copy it, and no one has ever been able to copy it. Why? It's because her love, her unique love that she has for her grandchildren and her children is infused in that food.
That's
and
true.
So with Krishna consciousness, the higher taste that we're actually experiencing is the infusion of Krishna bhakti into that food. And so, you know, regardless of how, like I never really, you know, kind of missed any of the, you know, tastes that I experienced. And because as soon as you come to the temple, it was like, whoa, everything was magnificent, everything.
It's true.
And it's like that little book that we used to distribute. It's because of the higher taste.
Yeah.
Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right?
Param drishtva nivartite.
Param drishtva. Param drishtva. So, and that's Krishna. Krishna bhakti. In fact, you know, the higher taste even of association, right? The higher taste, so it's higher taste of all of our senses, the higher taste of our tongue, the higher taste of what our eyes experience, the higher taste of sound, right? The higher taste of association. It's all a higher taste.
The higher taste of the mind is like the sixth sense. So
the higher taste of our intellectual pursuits, like there's no higher taste than the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. It's so completely satisfying and fulfilling. There's nothing like it. So that higher taste is on every experiential level.
What else could be satisfying?
I have to go, please.
Yeah, we all have to go. So thank you very much for coming together. And Krishna willing, see you on Monday. Vanchakalpa,
Tirubhascha, Kripa Sindhu, Vivacha, Patitanam Pavanibhyo, Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Nitai.
Jai.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.